Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Workers of Resources. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. We got a lot of construction to do, and we don't have a whole lot of vehicles doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong, most vehicles are actively working, but we just don't have a lot of vehicles. So I'm really hoping that we can get to this little area here today, specifically just at least this one construction office, so that I can get more vehicles and get more stuff assigned to where it needs to be. But we need to get workers, because workers is going to help us do all sorts of things, and we need to get workers before we start losing lots of money. There's a lot of money we're about to lose. And so we need to figure out where our town is going to be. So today what I'm going to do is we're going to set up the plans anyway for gravel. We're going to get the plans for fabric and clothing, which isn't really all that complicated. And then we're going to measure it out and make sure that we are, I'm going to say like 600 meters away, maybe 500 meters away at most from these things. And I think we'll start really far away. Then we'll get like one of those pollution detectors later on, and we'll see whether or not we're able to expand even further this way to get more people going. Okay. So while they're building things, and they've got a long way to go before they're done, but while they're building things, let's make sure that is a high priority. I'd also like to make sure that my power transformers are high priority, because all of this stuff needs to be done very soon. Now, I've got my construction offices out here, but I don't have them assigned to a group yet. So let's make sure they're on a group too. So we're going to get these four grouped up on one, then concrete, and then these two. Okay, so all of these are now on spot in group number one. All right, so we're going to make sure that you are working on these, and it looks like no path. Well, that's because we're dealing with the roads. So that actually complicates things. I probably should not have started to make this path, but one thing we can do at least is make sure that this is a high priority so that it gets done as fast as possible, so that these guys can get back to doing what they're doing. I just started this road upgrade, and I admittedly, I think I regret it, regret doing it, but every road needs to be gravel, and then most of these roads will end up being asphalt in the future. So we can make sure that we are at least getting everybody assigned to these tasks, and that they can hopefully get down here. And I think maybe I'll do a quick little dirt bypass road to get people over to here so that they can get the power situation sorted out too. So let's just go in and make sure that these guys have all this stuff added as well. All of this needs to be done, all right? Power definitely needs to be high on everybody's lists, okay? So hopefully that gets taken care of. So, let's talk about gravel first, because gravel is this thing. It kind of takes up a lot of room usually, and I'm going to try to make it a little more compact. But I learned a few things from my big gravel setup that I had in the stream series, and I'm going to set this up a little bit, maybe a little bit different than some other people do, but it's going to lead to having much more consistent quarried stone delivered to gravel, and therefore much more consistency in having gravel to begin with. We're also going to take a look later on. I don't think we'll have enough time in this video, but we'll take a look at waste processing and making sure that we're setting things up appropriately for construction waste and just mixed waste in general. Also, the fabric creation, the fabric building, is going to generate hazardous waste, and that's something we can't really do anything with. So we're going to have to, unfortunately, pay somebody to take our waste. That's not great, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so first thing with gravel is to figure out exactly where your quarries are going to be. So if I go over to construction industry and we head to gravel quarry, there is a little bit of pollution that's made in this. It's not very big, but you also should notice that it does produce garbage per worker. The general rule to go by with this update is that hang on a second. What's this? Okay. I saw this thing here and I'm like, hey, can I click that? No, you can't. You can't click that. Okay. Anyway, the general rule to go by is if people are there, waste is being generated. My quarries, on the other hand, are not going to have workers. I don't care to put workers in my quarry. I don't care for it. I think it's fine not to have workers in there. Just put a mechanism in there and it's good to go. So I thought I saw a 97% spot here, and I kind of want to get that. I'm pretty confident I saw 97, but I'll deal with 96. That's okay. There it is right there. 97%. Now, we could probably go which way with the road, though? That's the thing. I think maybe with the road, let's maybe angle it this way. Yeah, I think we could be okay with this. And then I want another one really, really close to this, if we can get away with it. Right about 83%, 84%, 87%, 88%. Can we have 90? Hello. 90%. So these are two really good quarries, and that's going to help us out a lot. Now, one of the things we want to do with these quarries is you can't offload anything with conveyor belts or anything. Everything is always loaded directly into a truck. And the truck has to take it to a building that you can't use conveyors to load it into. It has to be directly offloaded to a truck. But we can kind of change the speed at which they do that. And we can do that by using the unloading and loading aggregate buildings. So we're going to say the truck aggregate unloading building is going to be right nearby these two quarries. And I'm going to put it, I think, right about... kind of want to put it right about here, I think. So if I put it right there, that leaves a road having to go directly through this path. So we know that there's going to be a road right here, okay? So just hook this stuff up like this. All right, this is fine, probably. About like that. So the trucks are going to come off the quarry, then they're going to drive into here, and they're going to unload it. Those big 25-ton trucks that are over there that travel super slow, they're going to get reassigned eventually to be managing this. That means there's going to be a lot of gravel ready to go, okay? You can never have too much gravel. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you have too much gravel. It's impossible. You can't. You're going to use it all the time, I promise you. All right? Maybe you just haven't scaled up enough yet, but you will use it. So, you got this, and we're going to keep going this way. Now, from this unloading station, we want to get an aggregate storage, and I'm just going to use a small one. I don't think it needs to be super big or anything. And we can place this pretty close, make that conveyor belt as short as possible. Can barely see it. Right about here should be okay. That's about as close as I can go. So what's going to happen here, right, is that these guys are going to unload their quarried stone right here, and that's going to get sent up here. That unload process is way fast. And then they're going to go back to here. So they're just going to go back and forth in this short little section. Easy. On this side, we're going to have a truck aggregate loader. And this aggregate loader is going to be, again, as close as possible to this. And we might need to bend this road just a little bit differently. So let's go aggregate loader. And we'll say that it's right about right there. That's fine. Again, really small. This is going to allow them to load that quarried stone much faster. And, again, 2 additional of those 25-ton trucks are then going to bring it over to where we process it. So let's go ahead and take this. Probably need to redo this. I can't really tell where the connection points are there. There, I like these little... I want the little purple dots. They're not giving me the purple dots. Here we go. All right, so as we bring this up this direction, kind of running into a situation where we're not running into the roundabout. And that's going to be fine because we're going to end up wrapping it around. But I can also implement like gas stations and things over here on this side. So I kind of want to keep this area open. This big gap right here, I'm doing this stuff intentionally this time. I definitely was going too close before. So I'm going to kind of try my best to keep things open because you never know when you want to place something in. And before it was like, okay, I'll just delete it and then move it. But now you can't do that very well. So I'm going to be kind of compacting things together, but also not, right? We're going to leave some space. I think it's important now. So here's our aggregate loader. Those 2 additional, we have 4 total of those 25-ton trucks. The 2 additional ones will now go in this, and they are going to bring gravel over to the 2 gravel processing plants. Okay, now these take workers. and you can only unload directly from the trucks, but they take workers. So we're going to need to make sure that we are... bring this road back, actually. I need to sink this down. I think there's going to not be enough room here. I need to make sure there's enough room here. So I'm going to bring this back to... yeah, about there. Like, as far back as I can reasonably go. I think maybe about here. Let's try that. Oh, I don't have a free excavator. Okay. Well, when I get the free excavators, I'm going to have to do that. So we'll have one gravel processor here and another one on the other side over here. And I'll probably want to bring this one even further back because we're also going to implement one of the new storages. And man, oh man, are these things cool. So I'm thinking the biggest one, because again, you can never have enough. 5,000 tons of gravel. I'm thinking that is where it's at. And we're going to implement this 5,000 tons of gravel to face this direction, I think. And I think I want it to be about here. I think. It needs to be about here. And again, we're going to need an excavator free to do that. And I just don't have any yet. So one of the things I could maybe do to help get this going, because it is going to take a little bit of time to get this going, is I'm going to maybe get a road vehicles depot. And I think I'm going to place it kind of over... over here might be okay. It just needs to be in the general area. It doesn't have to have a road connection to it. So I'm thinking maybe if I place this here, that might be okay. And then from here... well, we don't have a road connection to the customs house. That's because we are currently making roads, man. And we're making roads in this direction, too. So I've completely cut off access to this road, which is probably the reason why everything's going so slowly here. Since everything's temporary anyway, why don't we allow this to come all the way around, and then this, we're going to have a little road go this way for a second. And I'm going to make a road that goes like this. It's all temporary, all right? I'm just going to replace this anyway. So we'll have this go like here, then there, and then around to, let's call it there. All right, so now there should be a road connection for this, and I should be able to purchase an excavator. So let's see, excavator, and we're going to grab, I think probably just 4. Although I'm going to need bulldozers too. So let's go 1, 2, and then we'll have another 1 and 3, 4. All right, they're going to get brought down into here. Eventually, they'll get repurposed into the construction area anyway, so it's not going to be a waste. But if I can get these guys to be here, that will be a lot more helpful. I'm also going to take one of these temporary gas stations, and I'm going to put this, I think, right over near this, because I think that'll be needed as well. Then we'll grab our fuel rats. I'm going to rename these guys, actually. This is the fuel rats. All right. And yes, I'm taking inspiration from Elite Dangerous on that. I totally take it from it. Fuel rats are right here, and they are responsible, of course, for bringing fuel to this area and keeping it at least 30%, let's say. Okay, so with one trip down with the fuel trucks, they will be able to get fuel over near this, and then I'll be able to use these to flatten the ground, to place buildings, etc. While they're getting on that, let's see if we can figure out the fabric and clothing idea, and keeping in mind that we have waste. Everywhere people work, there will be waste, and we must make sure that we are prepared to store that waste. So for clothing, the idea here, where the hell am I? Right here. Okay. For fabric, the idea is to connect all 3 of the buildings that we're going to place to this warehouse without any forklifts. So we've got sewage and water. I'm going to flip this over so that the sewage and water are coming from the other side. And if I can get this close to the roundabout, but then also connected, yeah, like right about like this, can I get you to be... let's say hypothetically I was to place you here. You do connect. Excellent. So that's one connection. Now we need the clothing factories, and that's actually quite easy. So clothing factories, we're just going to do it like this. I think I'm going to flip this over so that the road is a little bit on this side, so that we can get some space between the two roadways. And that's going to be important in a second, you'll see. I want to make sure I'm not crowding the pipes too close, but I think right about here should be sufficient. And then over on this side, we're going to flip it over again, wanting to add a little bit more space between these two buildings. And I think we're good right about here. All right, this gets us fabric connected to the warehouse, right? So fabric will get pushed into here. Then these things will pull it out, work it, put clothing back in. Train does its thing. Train will also initially be bringing crops into here, which can get pulled in from this. And then, so these are two-way connections. There is such a thing as a one-way connection now, and we are going to use those quite a lot when it comes to waste, because waste can get very weird and very, it starts to do things that you don't want it to do, because you're taking one resource and then you're trying to convert it into something else, but then that something else can also be pulled into the same building that's doing the conversions, and you don't want that, so they have one-way connections now. We'll look at that later. Here's one thing, speaking of waste, though, is we have this road here, and then we're going to have clothing road through here, too. And I'm thinking we're going to make space. So about like this will probably be our clothing road. And let's just maybe keep this parallel if possible. It's not gonna be parallel, but we can turn shortly after the rail. And that's okay with me. So we'll go up about like that with it. Okay, so let's talk about waste. And I may not have left enough room, so if I need more room, I'll just get more room. But for industries, we're going to use these container wastes. And I'm thinking I'm going to take a large one here. Didn't quite leave enough room, so I do need to remove the road. And I will redo this road to leave more room. Let's go, let's place the waste container first. I think that's probably better. So this garbage, this area here, it has container waste. I'm gonna place this right next to the clothing. All right. So obviously we're not using the walking path connections here, and that's fine. They're all gonna walk there from a bus stop that is yet to be determined in its placement, but they will walk there on the road. Okay. So we'll just use the road. It's fine. So this road, we're gonna give it a little more room. Again, I want to kind of make sure we're giving things some space when needed. So we're gonna try to go like, yeah, about there is okay. That gives me enough room, I think, to play around with like potential power posts or water pumps or sewage or whatever it is. Like there's little gaps in room here for this, which is fine. I don't believe these buildings are going to have access to power, because I'm pretty sure that substation won't reach both of these buildings. And this one may, though. I think this one actually will. And right now, this one looks like it's getting a pretty weak signal. Pretty weak connection. This is a 1.5, actually. You know what? The 1.5 should work. And I say it should work because I've already built the poles and I don't want to tear them down. That's just the way it goes. I'd rather not deal with the demolition yet if I don't have to, right? If we plan very well, we won't need to demolish, all right? So you just gotta, it's gonna take some time, but I don't need demos. I don't need the demolition vehicles. I don't even need the demolition office. None of that stuff is necessary unless we have to delete things, which eventually we will, but we don't yet. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'm actually tempted to revert these and scoot these back, because I do actually want this stuff to be just a little bit further back. So let me just delete this really quick. I do want this to be a little bit further back. These aren't going to move. These are going to stay right where they are. But when we put the road through here, and we can start with this one now, I guess. We'll put the road straight through like so. It'll go that way, I suppose. That's probably fine. We also are going to have waste generated by these buildings too. The quarries will generate waste. I don't know this though, because I'm not going to have workers there, and this generates waste per worker. So since I won't have workers, I wonder if the building will still generate that waste. I don't think so, but just to be safe, we're going to implement it anyway. So it's really cheap. We're going to put one of these small container yards. I'll put this right here. Now, Garbage has a much lower range than all the other things that connect like this. And that's probably because people have to carry heavy things in that distance, so they can't have the maximum distance, right? So in this case, the maximum range you can get for these is 125 meters, I believe, is as far as you can go. So if I was to go, there's no additional road. There has to be a road in order for me to test this. So if I go out about like this, and then I go over like so, we can see that around 125 meters, I believe it is. Yep. So see the little number that pops up there? So 125 meters is it. Once you get that far away, right there, it goes away and you're no longer connected. All right. And that's like that for all the trash. So I'm just going to place this right here, though, and that's going to cover both of these. So if there's any industrial waste from these quarries, they'll get picked up from here. Okay. Now, we got to go back and do the thing I was doing. All right. So we're going to say that we want the aggregate unload be positioned here. I think I'm going to put this, yeah, kind of like maybe like this. Yeah, this is fine. We'll put it like this. Aggregate unload. Then we're going to need the storage. Small storage is fine. Close as I can put it with that conveyor belt. Conveyor belt. Conveyor belt. Got it. Got it. Okay. Conveyor belt's there. And then this one here, again, I want it to be as close as we can go and still get away with. Close as we can still get away with. This is fine. This is fine. Excellent. And almost. Probably good enough. I'll say probably good enough. I don't know that yet. All right. So with this done, let's go in and mark where our gravel processing plants. We should have excavators and stuff nearby now. So I should be able to make this happen. So I want this to be kind of back in here a little bit. And I'm thinking it's going to be kind of like maybe right here. And then we'll flip this, put it on the other side, similar way, about here, I think. Okay, so with this road, it comes out this way. This is going to connect there, and then you are going to connect here too. And this connecting back here is okay. So the trucks are going to drop off the goods, right? These trucks from the quarry are going to drop it off. In the unloader, it gets pushed into the storage so they can constantly fill the storage. That storage gets picked up by the other two 25-ton trucks. They will drop it off into these two buildings, and it will always be like wait till unloaded and all that stuff. So it's very efficient. It's all closed loop. Everything's going to be good here. There's no reason for these trucks to ever need to go anywhere. But if they do, we'll have a gas station over here anyway. Okay, and they'll be able to refuel themselves when they need to, and it won't matter as much because everything will be in storage and it'll hopefully be super, super full. Okay. The first winter snow is upon us, and that means everyone slows to a crawl because I don't have any. I have no trucks. I have absolutely no snowplows, and I'm okay with that for year one. After this, I think I'm gonna get snowplows, but I'm okay with that for year one. I'm trying to be cheap. I'm pretty cheap. All right, so next we want one of these big storages, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is how we're gonna do this. We're gonna say, where's my aggregate? It's over here. Aggregate storage. We're gonna get the 5,000 tons of gravel in here, and we're gonna do it about like that. Yep. All right, and we want it to be, I think, maybe back like this. Seems okay. Big tons and tons of gravel. That's what we're all on about here. Right about there, I think. Now, we're gonna have the road. Right, that road's got to go in there, and that's the problem at the moment. So let's maybe get this road to have some sort of sensible pathing. If I go, let's say this way with this road, is that going to interfere with the storage? I wonder. It doesn't, as long as I flatten the ground, which I can do now. Go ahead and do that with my excavators and mark. Okay, it doesn't look like it actually accepted it, but I can go like that, custom, and do it. So let's do that. All right, that's my gravel assortment. Now, obviously, the trucks are going to have to come here to get it. That's not ideal either. Guess what? There's two construction offices, meaning there's two aggregate loading stations that can go in here, and we can just pop in one of these to be here. I want them to be off of the roundabout though, so we're gonna say one of them is here. Yep. And the other one is here. So 2 of these guys can go in and load gravel just like that whenever they want. It's gonna be brilliant. All right. So that's going to take care of this. Now, there's a lot of other connection points, and we're totally going to use those other connection points because we're also going to make asphalt over here and concrete probably over here too. And we're going to have all of this being fed from these 2 processing plants into this one single storage, and everything will be using the same gravel. Okay. If for some reason we still can't keep up with gravel here, we can add additional processing on this side and connect it to this connection. And if it's like, well, we don't have enough quarried stone, well, I got room for more here, but I also have a good spot to post it up here. So if I run out of room over in this spot, I can tap into this over here. So that's how that's going to go. Okay. Now, these processing plants, they're also going to produce waste, and they produce, like, you know, because there's just people working there, they have waste. So we're going to say that these little containers, I'm just going to go ahead and put this right here. That should be in range of all these buildings, and everything's taken care of. Okay. So now we've got waste handled for this. We've got waste handled for all of this stuff. And there's still the fabric place, which does not have waste added for it yet, but I can always add another one down here to cover that. So I think that's what I'll probably end up doing, unless I add new, you know, if I add something over here, then, you know, that maybe that changes the story a bit, but I don't think I'll need to. Construction office won't have any waste. This doesn't have any waste. How's our power lines looking? Okay, so we're 32% done with the main high voltage line. That's all the way down, right? Yeah, 32% done with the main line all the way down. We have the switch completed, the transfer is completed, and then the transformer is half done. When that's done, we'll be hot. We'll have power, except of course for the fact that the substations are not being built yet. But other than that, we'll have power, and then hopefully that means oil, and then we can start exporting. Again, everything is really slow right now because I did not plow the roads, but you know what? It's just the way it goes, man. I think we'll be able to finish a lot of the roads that we got going. Okay, so the thing I wanted to just try to do today, and I mean, I might even let it run a year between videos at this point, just to try to complete things. I would really like it to progress quickly for you guys, even if it's progressing slowly for me, if that makes sense. Also, I'm not interested. I can't see your comments yet. I'm recording in advance. I'm not interested in particular builds or ways that other creators did them necessarily. However, if you have an idea of how certain things can be arranged, please keep in mind waste when you're doing this. Feel free to post screenshots or just, you know, building descriptions, if you will, on how you are arranging your stuff in your game on our Discord server in the Soviet Republic channel. In there, we have a games forum for Soviet Republic, and you can totally get in there and show me your workers and resources creations. Maybe I'll even take some inspiration from you and credit you. I have no idea, but the main summary, though, of all this is that our year might progress quicker or slower than other players, and I don't care. There is no time limit. So if we bring in people in 1966, okay. If we bring them into 1962, okay. It is equal to me. I don't care. The only thing that matters is money drain, and money drain is a big deal. So I'd like to get the foreign manpower part sorted out and get people in here so that I can start making money, hopefully. Okay? That requires a lot of things to be done. let's talk about one of those things that has to be done, which is our town. We need to organize where our stuff is going to be for our town. We're not going to build it until a lot of this stuff is done. This is the biggest priority. Once we get this done, transfer in, get more vehicles, then we can build things a lot faster. That's what we need. We need to build things a lot faster, be more efficient, etc. I think this is going to be put on hold right here. We're gonna batch suspend these construction projects for a second. I don't need people building these just yet, okay? I would even say that I don't necessarily need to build this yet. Yeah, I would say that these could be suspended as well. Feel free to build the warehouse and all of these things, but let's not build this stuff just yet. I'm just laying in the plans, okay? Okay, so for the town, we have where our pollution ends, which is pretty much right here. So let's get an idea of how far away can we go. So remember, this is downhill or downwind, right? So we kind of want to be far away. I think I'm going to start with houses right about here. And then we'll get one of those pollution monitoring stations and see how far we can go from there. But we'll start by having our town kind of in this side. We'll expand this way as far as we can, and then we'll expand this way the rest of the way. The town will just keep growing in this direction as we go. Okay? So let's say if we wanted to flatten the whole area, which is probably a pretty good idea. I don't think there's actually that big of a difference in elevation between like here and here. Yeah, 2 meters, which is not that big of a deal. There is a pretty sizable difference here as you get closer to the water. And that's actually a good note, is where are we dumping the sewage? So obviously all the water is at 0. All water is at sea level. And so I'm thinking this is all 15, almost 16 meters high. 16, 15, 10. So it just kind of, it does rise a little bit over here. It usually gets really high up here. This is on a hill. I kind of like that, though. Our rock quarry and stuff is up on a hill. That's kind of cool. Although it'd probably be more appropriate if it was in a dip, right? Either way, it means that sewage that's stationed up here will definitely be able to go downhill that way. And it does mean, though, that I'm going to have to fight to get sewage from this point and run a pipe probably, yeah, it's about here. So it's going to be a long pipe, but we'll have to do that. Okay, so knowing about where everything is, let's say we would go into residential areas, and I'm going to say the brick flats that are 94%. They hold less workers, but they're definitely, I think, the preferred housing for the start of the game right now. The biggest thing we need to do is get a university set up. So we need to start researching, and that requires a university. So I'm going to say that we start with houses, maybe... I'm tempted to do the little squares that people do. I mean, I see other people doing them. I don't know if I need to do them per se, but I see other people doing them, and I'm tempted to try it. And what I mean by the squares is something like this. Maybe the grid would be helpful here, although I can barely see it. I barely see the grid, but maybe the grid would be helpful here. Let's do one of these. Restore soil. If I do the restore soil, can I see building easier? I just want to get the snow out of the way. I can certainly see the grid easier, so I'm gonna maybe play on that since the grid shows up easier. Okay, so we're gonna say large residential, yeah, 196 or 146. So how about we go about here? And we leave little gaps. That's too big of a gap. Although I can always use spots like that for walking paths later. That's probably possible. So I was thinking something like along this line. I see people do this with their houses, and I feel like it's kind of okay. I feel like it's okay. Yeah, it looks okay when you do this. Let's take a housing block, right? So what if we maybe did something along these lines? Leave a little extra space here just to get that walking path through there, right? It has to line up with this, I suppose. So we could do something like this. And then right up against it. Nope, there's a little gap there. And now we get into the part where we need to start like holding down, you know, we need to start leveling things out, which isn't really all that great. I'd like to, I think I went way too wide here, right? It certainly looks like I went too wide. Let's pull this back. I think this is too much. Way too much. I think I might even snap it right up against it. Who needs that walking path anyway? Watch, I probably will desperately need it later because of like, you know, bus routes and stuff. But okay. So yeah, it's forcing me to make big spaces right now with the grid. I think it's because oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. I have to do this, I think. I need to come over and I need to flip it like this. This is why. So I would have, yes, like this. This is much better. Obviously, we want to have a spot in here to have that walking path right here. So I can't actually place one here. That's interesting. Flip it. Yeah, I can't place one here. I can flatten this, but I don't think that's going to be a good idea. Let's take the grid off for a second. And just generally, I want to try flattening this. Kind of like this. Just use my excavators that I went ahead and I went through all this trouble to bring them here. So let's just use them. So we're going to flatten this down. Yep, flatten this down. Pull this back about like here. That's pretty good. I think I'm all right with that. And then we'll take our house once more and then go back to the grid and we should be able to, yeah, do one of these now and place this. And then I should be able to get this in there. So this gives me that walking path entrance here, right? That's what I was looking for. It kind of protrudes out a little bit on that side. Maybe more than I'd like. Yeah, let's see. If we come back over. I don't normally build my housing blocks like this, but I saw somebody else do it this way, and I was sort of like, you know, that's an interesting way to do it. So I decided to roll with it. And I think, I don't like how it protrudes out like this. I think on both sides needs to be adjusted. So we'll do one more time here. We're going to say that this house, no grid. And that will give me the freedom to place this a little bit further back. Yeah, it's okay. I know it's not flush, but it's a little hard to see where flush is. So basically, it's right on the edge of that first dot. The inside edge of the first dot is where it is. So if I place the inside edge of that first dot right there, that should be level, I think. Pretty flush. And then we come over, turn the grid back on. We'll flip this around exactly, turn the grid back off. And then same thing here. We want to go to the inside of that dot. So that'll be my housing block. Okay. There's a clear way in with the walking paths on both sides here. And we can get access to whatever bus routes or anything we're going. There is a little bit of a steepness to this hill. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it would be nice if it was a little bit cleaner. I'm just going to kind of maybe level this out a little bit more on this side. Okay. So I think the reason why people do stuff like this is so that they can add services and things. They can put things in between the houses so that people could just walk to them really quickly. I believe that's why people do it. So if I was to say add a road that comes through here, like walking paths that go through here, right? Obviously these, oh, you're not going to connect. Well, that's interesting. Oh, right, because you're flipped over. Of course. Well, that's okay, because you can connect here. So we can get people connecting with like walking paths right through here, right? And then we have the walking path come straight through the center, something like that. And then all of these get to connect from there. So these connections go like that, okay? So that gives a connection for every building except this one. Uh-oh. Oh, it'll let me. Very good. Whew, that was close. This one's good, this one's good, this one isn't. So yeah, that's the only one, I think. Yeah, that's the only one that wasn't connected. Okay. So this gives me like, they're all connected up and then they're all out like this, which is good. Then when we make our bus route or we make our bus stop anywhere, you know, these guys can all hopefully reach that. And yeah, we'll go from there. Now, so I don't forget, on the inside, we can put all the essential basics, you know, in their services and stuff. So I can put in, for example, a substation, and it can just go in the middle of all of these things. And it can just cover all of these houses. It can cover all these houses like that too. So it doesn't have to be in the middle of that, but it's just a place where that stuff can go, which I think is probably okay. Now, you can see how this, because we use the grid, it doesn't line up with this road. And that might be a problem for some people. Might be a problem for me too. I'm okay with, you know, leaving this as sort of like the general plan, telling you how it's going to be kind of be outlined, and then me saying, hey, I'll be right back, snapping my fingers like that, pretty much. So we're going to have all the houses kind of going through. I actually added an extra house. So we've got 10, 12 homes here and 146 each. That's going to give me enough workers, I think, to power through a lot of stuff here. We're going to have around a capacity in this little block here for around 2,000 workers. I think that's going to be acceptable. So we can expand this direction, and we can do so with services and things that are not homes. So what I really want to make sure is I'm far enough away from the closest home to the closest polluter. And that's this one right here, of course. And then the closest home is here. And that is basically 600 meters. I mean, for as much pollution as coming out of this little area, I think 600 meters is acceptable. But I don't know. We'll see. If it starts to look bad, then it starts to look bad. But hopefully it isn't as bad as I think it's going to be. I would like to go ahead and get some terrain smoothing going here. It'd be nice to just kind of flatten this out just a little bit. Just to kind of get this to be a bit more gradual instead of being such a cliffside kind of thing. Because I was hoping that we would get a road that would go straight up over through here. So we have a road that goes out about like that. And I don't know if I wanted to go... you know, it would actually be good if these little walking paths that I was pushing right through here, if they would go all the way through, and then we could still connect that, I think that would be a really good thing. Nope, that's not how that connects, unfortunately. We need it to connect to the actual path. There we go. And then over here, we do the same thing. Okay. So let's put in services and waste and all that stuff like first, so don't forget. So I think we're going to expand this way. We're going to have like fire services and things like that. So we're going to say, nah, you really got to put buildings first. I don't want to put utilities in. Okay, so first of probably many little mini time lapses you guys are going to get. Welcome to the future. We've got a hospital and a fire department over here on this side. And again, a bunch of little roundabouts and stuff, just because I really don't want to deal with traffic lights and stuff. I know that traffic will be heavy through here as we get more and more people going. I'm also planning ahead, looking at personal cars as an option for everyone in the future too, because this goal, the goal we have for this series, is to get to a 100,000 population while having over 90% happiness. I have no idea if that's possible, but we're going to try. We have a school over here. We're using some of the new buildings for schools, so this one has a slightly higher capacity than the normal school does. Over here, we've got the shopping center. And then there's the forklift garage connected to meat storage and warehouse so that we can have this thing constantly funneled in. That's going to be nice for logistics sake. We have a kindergarten here. Again, a slightly larger one than usual so it can handle more kids. And then also a cinema here to help them with culture and things. I can add more things to this area over here, etc. I've got room to do that. But at the moment, that's all I've got queued up to build. What we need to make sure we do, though, and I forgot to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now, is I need to make sure that each one of these places do not have get citizens. I don't want to automatically invite citizens when we go in and do this. So I'm going to go to each one of these things so we don't have that sound hitting your ears all the time. But I'm going to go to each one of these things and make sure that that's happening, too. Okay. So there are a ton of roads to lay in like gravel with, right? Like all these roads need to be done. There's a lot of gravel done, but there's still so much more to do. And you can see we've got plenty of gravel in here. It just takes a long time to load it. So that's why I'm trying to get these storages done in a timely manner if I can. Did I get this? Construction mode right there. Get these done. Let's actually... let's not do that one right now. Yeah, let's not do that one right now. And then the gravel is going to be stored right over here, right? And so we also want to get this done as well. So these two can get done. And then we need to get this, and then eventually this building done, which is a big building, but we're going to have gravel brought here instead. Let's make sure we get that connected to a road. It is already connected to a road, but it is not connected to the road network. So it's going to be coming around this mountain when it comes, and it will then pop in over like so. All right, that hooks it up to the rest of the road network. All the stuff for gravel is now hooked up, and we can go bop and get that big, ridiculously huge gravel storage. Get that going now. But that's going to be a lot faster to load from because it'll have these two loaders. And then we can tell these trucks over here, we can tell them to keep this 10% full. That would mean, you know, we're aiming for 500 tons of gravel to be stored in there at 10% full. 500 tons as opposed to what we're currently storing, which is less than half that. So we would have double the gravel requested, but we'd be able to load it a lot faster. So we'd just constantly be going back and forth trying to get gravel, which is fine. So this is, again, room for about 2,000-ish people. And we got some buildings over here. And we got some buildings over here. Let's start taking a look at what we would need for our utilities. I've already placed the waste cans here. If you take a look at waste, because I know this is a new thing, so I want to kind of go through this. So the ones that are in this category are for big containers. Okay, big garbage containers, okay? And then we have these small garbage containers, okay? And there's 4 of these. 2 of them require road connections. 2 of them are for walking paths. And the only difference in construction cost is whether or not the construction is going to take asphalt or not, okay? Generally, you can do the walking path ones because the garbage trucks will go on the walking paths to get the stuff anyway. So it's a little bit cheaper to use those. I think there are probably certain situations where you'd want to do it differently, but anyway. And you're going to want to have, I think, probably the bigger ones, the large ones, because the small ones, they just don't cut it. And they really only hold mixed waste, to where the larger ones, you can have them separate it, which is a pretty cool thing. So, and what I mean by that is later on, you can tell them to store only certain kinds of waste in this one, to where the small ones are purely just mixed waste and that's it. So what we need is for these waste areas, we just need them to be throughout here. And we want them to, of course, cover as many houses as we can. It looks to me like I don't have this connected. There we go. Like so. And we probably should get this hooked up as we can. That might help us with trash collection later. In general, I'm just going to connect these when I can just because of trash. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Like that. Even if it's only for other reasons too. Like we could say that this is for the sake of you know, going to school and stuff. Like they have to come all the way around like this to go to school. They can just come right out the straight. I like that. I mean, we can actually have, yeah, it doesn't really matter because we can just have them come out the front like this anyway. It's fine. Whatever. The way it was fine, but I bet I can probably connect now. No? Still can't? Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. All right, so for waste, let's go into the big containers and you can see how it's drawn a line, right? In general, you want to cover as many houses as you can with a single container. So as long as we're still getting all of these, I'm going to keep moving this way until eventually we're going to see that this is going to stop covering. So it's not covering that house anymore, right? So we're going to have, I think probably, I feel like you could actually get that house. Nope. Okay. So we're going to have you placed right here. And this is the first container for garbage. All right. So we need to cover these ones now. And this is pretty easy to do. We'll just cover it from here. That covers this entire block for garbage. Those two, that takes care of it. People will be over here and stuff too, though. So we're going to need to cover this stuff for garbage as well. And in general, if you look at the building, I think it has to be built before you can look at it like this, but just trying to see. So garbage production per worker, per student, right? Yeah, all that stuff is a thing too. Now for the university, what's the first thing we need for this, for research and stuff? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the new questions and answers button. Got lots of different people that can help you out in understanding the game. And what you want to go to is Mr. Pavlov. He's a commissioned scientist. Mr. Pavlov is going to tell you what there is to research. Now, personally, I think this UI could definitely use an overview, but it's a new system, so you just wanted to get it to where it was working, okay? So anyway, let's go 1x speed for a second. We have all these different things to research now. And these different researches have different colors. The white squares are researched by the medical university, the blue squares by the technical university, and the red squares are researched by the party headquarters. So depending on what you want, that's the university you need, right? So if I'm looking for, let's say, how to make my own fuel, well, I probably want to figure that out first. And so fuel, fuel study, cool. Getting over to refinery project, cool. That takes a lot of stuff. That's going to be the technical university. All right. Forest study, discipline about forest and its management, wood cutting planning policy, phone tapping. We are listening. Yep. I'm surprised that phone tapping isn't on the party headquarters, but it is what it is. Big monuments. We have to study concrete first before we can do that. So all sorts of stuff is in here. And you just got to go through and find what you want to study first, right? So vitamins, development of medical product which will make citizens more resilient to the pollution. Ooh, hey, that seems pretty good. Did you take your vitamins today? We can't do anything with helicopters for fire or helicopters for hospitals because we got to research it first. Air traffic studies required for that too. So awful lot of stuff here. I think the first thing, fire prevention basics. Yeah. Study how the fires could be prevented. So maybe fire prevention in industry and stuff. We like help with fires. It doesn't really matter which university we go for because we need them all. But since we want to maybe become a little bit more independent and work with our own supply here really quick, I think what I'm going to do first is probably getting close to steel production. I think steel production first. So I need a technical university for that. Yeah, technical university for that. Also technical for field study, for the refineries. Yeah, need it for chemistry, bitumen, all that stuff is needed. So I think technical university is where I'm going first here. So given that that's a thing, we can come over to university. Obviously, you have the 3 different universities here. The headquarters actually has 2 different ones. There's a small one and a big one. Then the technical university is the same. So this big building here is required to get people to go to school. Well, what do you know? I can just place it right over here. Place it right over here. Now, if I want passengers to be able to come here to go to school and stuff like that, I should probably get a station where people can get off. And I'm thinking the trains are going to be used for this. I'm thinking we're going to get passenger trains and stuff pretty soon. So, not very soon, but we're going to get passenger trains at some point. So why don't we go over for citizens? And maybe we just use the metro. We could get by with the metro, I think, for a bit. That's pretty far away, so I think we're going to want trains to get out to there, but the metro could totally handle this part. And metro, it does actually, the metro trains tend to be cheaper, like cost per, worker that you're transporting and stuff. It tends to be cheaper, even though the tracks, you have to be electric and those are more expensive, but it's more of a fixed cost than, I don't know. I mean, the trains are a big fixed cost too. We're already going to have a train track here, so why don't we go like this with the university right about here. We'll get a road that goes between here and here like so. All right, and then this will connect like so. All right, that'll get us a technical university, and these guys can all go to college if they want to. Let's hope they want to. Also, there's no real good way to connect down here, so we're gonna want to have a walking path going all the way this way too, and probably we could do it like this over here too, about like so. A little crooked, but we'll make it work, and hopefully that means that these guys can walk to the university. We can have parking back here and stuff, but I think getting a passenger train through here would be still a good idea. So why don't I go over and just plan for a train platform. This is 1,500 work. I don't think we don't need a big platform, I don't think. Small platform should be sufficient. We can put it all the way on this side. I think it's probably all right. If I put it over here, they can still walk there though, can't they? You know what? We'll just leave this open right here, and we can mess with it when the time comes. At the moment, we're not going to need it because everyone's going to walk there anyway. So Technical University is going to get us hooked up with the new technologies that we need to be successful, and hopefully we can work our way over here eventually, start getting our industry going. I think that'd be a really good thing. It's really far away from the town, but the town is eventually going to be over here. Right, so we're going to start expanding it this direction, and this city is eventually going to span over here. And when that happens, it's a lot more reasonable to get into this area. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the metro is the better way to go. I think underground maybe is a little bit overkill, but above ground isn't that unreasonable. Could always do an above ground metro in that area too. I got to think about that. What do I want to do for mass transit as we get around that area? This track probably goes all the way out. I want to say behind this, probably where this is going. Yeah, because I think that's in a good spot already. So I think I probably would plan on this going behind the... Right there, yep, behind the oil pump right here. Right, behind the pump jack. So we'll send this all the way out this way, and then from the hospital area, from this, probably right around here. So after we get maybe like another round of housing, we would want to have a passenger rail station, and then also this comes down and we get a junction right here too. So that's a possibility. As far as where our crops are coming in from, we're going to have a lot of farming over this way. Train is going to come down from this side straight into this track here. and then we'll have another junction right there that can take them that way. Okay. Speaking of the junction, where is my rail builder going to be? That's another question. Gravel's over here. All of our building supplies are going to be over here. It does kind of make sense to have rail construction yard be near your construction project, your construction sources, as far as like your resources go. So that does make sense. I do not want to have these trains super close to the rail anymore. We're not going to do that mistake again. So given that that's the case, I probably will have the rail construction office be maybe over here like this, and then the rail can come out and meet up with wherever this junction is. You can have it, you can have the rail come out that way, and then maybe another one will come out this way, meet up over here. Possibly we could have the rail construction yard from right here. Maybe it comes right here. Yeah, maybe we put it back here and then it comes out and junction. That's probably a good fit for this. Am I able to do that? Or do I need to research for that? Probably construction, right? Construction industry. Rail construction office. We can have room for 4 or 8. Ooh. Now that's interesting. Now, the 4... It looks like it produces garbage, but it doesn't have internal storage for it. The 8 has a big container export. I see. So if we go with this one, we use the small containers. If we go with this one, we use the large containers. That's pretty interesting. Okay. It's a bit more resources, but it's not that unreasonable, and it makes things a lot easier if you have only one office. Looks like a lot more connection points and stuff here too. I'm gonna run with this. I'm gonna say that we want this rail construction office, and I might put this back over here so that it can come in here and then it can start building the tracks in both directions. If you guys know me, I use a lot of track. If you've seen that last series, you know I like to use a lot of track, and maybe it's a flaw. I don't know if that's probably a good thing or a bad thing or whatever, but I think if I could put this place really close to the construction resources, that'd be good. And we can start by having the gravel completely hooked up. I think that's probably a great thing. Have the gravel be completely connected over here. So we just put it in about like this. I think this is probably a good idea. And we could say that it comes in about like this. Yes. About there, I think. Rail construction office. Okay. So this, of course, would allow us to build tracks. And we'll just do wooden ones, because they're not going to be that fast anyway. And we'll put this out like about here. And, you know, we could... Yeah, we'll have one, of course, that comes in, and one is leaving, so trains will come in. Now there's a lot more space for these trains to breathe as they go out this way, and then they go out from here, this way, and this way. That's a little bit off, isn't it? Sure is. There we go. Okay. So that's my plans for my tracks, okay? So when we get this built, then we can import our little tiny track builder, bring it over there with a truck, and start doing the thing, right? Start building tracks and getting all this stuff set up and ready to go. Obviously, these things are going to get wiped out. This is going to get completely connected. And then we can start bringing things in from the border on a train, which is way better than doing it from a truck. And at that point, all of this stuff goes away. Poof, gone. And we're left with essentially a train that brings all of our resources in so that we can work with them rather than relying on trucks to bring them in. And then at that point, maybe we can even get another town set up over here. That's not a bad idea because we can have workers coming in from both directions. There's a lot of wasted space here if we don't do that. We can also grow a lot of crops right in here. There's probably some fertility and stuff to do that. We're going to take a look at crops and stuff a little bit later, but they've changed how farming works too if you haven't been following along. there is now a amount of fertility on the ground, and that changes, and you'll need fertilizer and stuff to keep it up. Also, I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intentional, but if you place a field, and we'll go ahead and do it. I'll do a small one over here just to show you. If you place a field, you'll be able to see that it has 70% fertility, okay? Usually it starts, you know, with a high fertility, 70, 70.2, etc. Has nutrient levels, etc. Well, if you decide, oh, I placed this in the wrong place, I don't want to place it there, and you decide to delete it, and maybe you go ahead and tweak this. Maybe you're like, okay, I actually wanted the road on this side, my bad. You place it down. Well, you've placed it down where the other field was. Now your fertility is stupid low. So that's the thing. So when we place our fields, of course, we want to make sure we absolutely are sure that we're placing them in the right spots, because if we have to reposition them in any way, we're going to run into that problem. And I don't know if that's intended or what, but it's just the way it is. This is starting to get built. All we have left are now our work days. Very nice. This van is going over here to get workers, right? So we have some of these vehicles not going to this border connection. A little bit farther of a drive, but I think it's okay. Actually, you know what we could do? Now that these guys are already on their way, let's go ahead and get this path. Let's do this one first. We're going to let this road become a gravel road. And then once that's done, we'll, you know, do this part here too. And then that way these guys can bring the workers over a little bit faster. We'll upgrade these roads. Okay, so I think this is probably it for this episode. We've got some stuff done. I showed you guys what I'm doing for gravel. We got the fabric and the clothing factories set up over here. Obviously, everything needs to be built so far. And then we've started the plans for our first little town with people in this little squarish housing block that I don't know if I like yet, but I've seen people do it this way, and I wanted to just try it once at least. Okay, maybe it'll work out really well. I don't know, but we're obviously going to need to add lots of utilities and services and things as well to this. So I'll keep you posted. I'll let it run for a little bit, let some stuff get built. Probably won't plan a whole lot much else between now and then, but remember, we do need heat as well. Heat is a big deal, and we're definitely going to want to place, we're definitely going to want to place some heat probably right there just to have it cover everything. So maybe we could do like one of these really big heat exchangers. I think it can hit gonna have to hit everything, isn't it? So right about here. I think that pretty much covers it all, doesn't it? It has a distance of, is it 385 meters is what it is. Yep. So that covers everything on that one. Pretty good. We'll go ahead and leave it probably. Let's go right behind the school with this. Right behind the school should be okay. And we'll actually bring it down. Yeah, right about here should be okay. Although if I can get away with it being even further away, that'd be cool. No, because I want it to cover as we expand this way. So we'll put it right here. Ooh. Just barely the technical university. Okay, right behind the school, right like that. That's going to cover every single building that we have here, as well as our expansions this direction as well. So this heat exchanger is going to do some seriously good work. However, where in the world is the heat going to go? I'm going to measure some things out and consider that, but I think it's probably going to be right over here. So we're going to have several different bus stops, several different bus stations. I'll have to place the bus stop over here too for jobs and everything. Probably going to have that set over here. We'll see. But thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys will hit the like button and subscribe and all that stuff. We'll see you next time. Workers and Resources. Soviet Republic, the long series. Yeah, season 3. It's going to be a really long one. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.